In the past, whenever I've done a Zwift road race where we combined categories but were picked separately, each of the categories had their own kit. As soon as we got together, I saw that everybody had the same kit. A cycling community, this is Steve Gruss of the Cycling Greek. So if anybody knows why we're all having the same kit and we don't know who's an A, B, C, or D, let me know, because I'm at a loss as to any type of reasoning behind this. But as it is often said in these situations, it is what it is. As you can tell from the title, this race was last minute. Ordinarily, I was going to go outside and do a couple hours at a steady pace, and that pace was going to be determined by how I felt. And considering I had done a good workout yesterday, I wasn't quite sure how things were going to go, although I was feeling a lot better today than I thought I was going to feel. The day before, I had done 48 miles that included 4,500 feet of climbing. There was no lollygagging for me as I was trying to stay with the faster climber. I spent nearly 1 hour at my upper tempo on this 8-mile climb. Now you're probably thinking, that's not bad, but this race should be a piece of cake for you. I have to watch out that I don't unduly stress my heart. Not only because I'm 67, but because I'm subject to AFib. For you younger riders that aren't familiar with that, AFib, atrial fibrillation, is basically a misfiring of the upper chambers of the heart. The upper chambers can start beating at a quicker and irregular beat. The irregular beats can be so quick that each chamber will not be able to evacuate all of its blood. And you'll get pooling of blood, particularly in the left atrial chamber where there's a little pocket there. The red blood cells will bang together, get damaged, could form a clot, and go to your brain and cause even more problems. I've had this condition for 7 years, and since there's no structural problem with my heart, this was probably caused by my decades of burning the candle at both ends, not getting enough sleep, and in my training and everything else I was doing, I treated fatigue like something I had to defeat, not something I had to work with. And that's what my channel's been about ever since almost 7 years ago when I first contracted AFib. I established a set of rules for my training, I made some tweaks to my diet, and basically done a number of things to avoid and to remove undue pressure from my heart. As you are well aware, there's a lot of pressure that goes on your heart. Okay, enough of that. Let's go to the action on the screen, which you'd seen previously that somebody had jumped out ahead. They had maybe hoped that it would entice a small breakaway. There were a few that were going after him, and I was trying to stay on the wheels of those that were doing that. It all came back together, and now we have a couple that are out there that are just trying to establish another break. Now, this is where the uniform thing comes in. I don't know if these guys are A's or B's. I am racing in the C category. Zwiftpower.com has me as a C. I used to be a B, and that was only because I only did the crits, the real short races. So my power would be a lot higher because I was racing for a short amount of time. Doing the longer races, my average 20-minute power would go down. Eventually, I was downgraded to a C. Mostly because of yesterday's workout, I wanted to be conservative. And conservative in my case meant being patient. That being stated, now you see me going up to the breakaway. I'm not putting a lot of horsepower into it, just ample amount. I'm hoping to get on somebody's wheel or get some more people in front of me that I can just ride their wheel up. I'm hoping to entice them. Again, I don't know who's in what category. As we pass the sprint point, a couple more are trying to bridge up to the breakaway. I so want to try and bridge up to them, but that can yield me off the back status. So again, I'm being conservative. So I'm trying to just put myself toward the front, but on people's wheels. It's been a little bit since I've done a Zwift race. I find that I need a little work again on my Zwift wheel riding technique, where you don't drift off the front when you don't want to, and then you don't drift off the back, trying to overcompensate for when you drifted off the front. About a minute later, a break of 7 was established. At this point, I can only hope it doesn't include any category C's. As we kept our pace steady, the group of 7 became a group of 6, with Canadian S. Lunger, who actually was a category C. Good effort on his part, he came back. Right before he officially made contact with the pack again, category A racer Zwift Kid attacked. The Zwift Kid eventually made it up to the pack, and now the pack was about 4 seconds ahead of us, leading to halfway into the race. This is what happened leading up to this point. As the Zwift Kid just about made contact with the breakaway, 3 from the breakaway attacked. So now we're sitting at 3 leaders. They have a 53-second lead in front of us, and the breakaway with the Zwift Kid, there's 5 of them there, so a total of 8. I was mistaken before, I thought it was 7. They are about 7 to 8 seconds ahead of us. A kilometer later, category C rider A. Sudlow, and I know he's a category C now because I looked it up as I'm putting this video together. He attacked in order to bridge up to whatever group is up ahead of him at the time that he gets there. He got some distance, but he never got more than 2 to 3 seconds ahead of us, and he eventually came back. This is what I was concerned about if I did this kind of a move. That chase group was now at about 13 seconds ahead of us. It is now 4.5 miles later. We are at a mile to go. Not a lot of action has happened. In fact, the chase group that's in front of us is still about 12 seconds ahead. I'm now thinking what I can do to win this race. I don't know who's ahead of us in terms of categories. I'm figuring they're going to be A's and B's. If there's a C that snuck up there, well, there's nothing I could do about that. So right now I'm going to assume that there's no C's up there. If you are familiar with my channel, you know I can't sprint. So I'm not setting myself up for a sprint. My plan is to jump from this group well before they start to increase their speed to set up for the sprint so I can get to the line before them. At least that's the plan. So the question is, when do I start to do this? In the off season, when I was doing more Zwift racing, I would jump from 0.3 to 0.5 mile away and I would die off before I would get to the finish. Theoretically now I have better form, so now I'm thinking about going from 1 kilometer out. I'm positioning myself toward the back of the pack so I can get some draft when I start my run. And now this is it. Of course, on something like this, you want to catch everybody off guard. You want to get immediate separation. I have a couple riders in front of me, so the others may be thinking that, he's going to go up there and just sit on the wheels. But nope, I'm attacking through them. Now, if you look up ahead, you can see the group of riders there. The ones that had 12 seconds the last time I mentioned it, they're down to about 7 seconds. There's a possibility that I can get these guys. Of course, this is one of those easier said than done things. I am looking at the graphics on the right, at least toward the bottom. I see I have a second gap so far between myself and the others. While I am probably the oldest guy in this race, there are some 50-somethings in the C category. Again, focusing on the graphics on the right, the pack up ahead, that chase group is splitting apart. They've started their run. I'm about the same wattage that they are, and the pack in back of me, you have some people that have increased their speed, and they're about the same wattage as I am. It's less than 1/10 of a mile to the finish, and my wattage has dropped below 350 and I'm having trouble holding it at 300. Those chasing me are still showing they're a second back, but the eventual winner, T. Lin, and there he goes now, was doing over 14 watts per kilogram. Now I'm trying to get there before anyone else does. Now I'm trying to get there before everyone else does. I couldn't do a full kilo, but looks like I did a half a mile, and that's not bad. Definite improvement. I came in 9th out of 16. I hope you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it. As always, remember, comment, like, subscribe. The Cycling Greek.